All right, let's see.
How's that?
It's a little better. You're cutting in and out a little
Hey.
bit. Keep talking.
Hello,
Um,
hello. Test one,
hey,
two, three.
it works. I love it when Google's right. They said that only one of us has to have the headphones, so you're the lucky one.
Okay. And I've got
Very
these brain
cool.
radiating ones on, so you can't even see them.
Perfect. I love it. All right,
Hi,
so
friend. It's so nice to see your face.
I love seeing your face too. You look so beautiful.
Thank you. So do you. That
Oh,
meditation's
thanks.
wearing well on you.
Thank you. It is. I feel good. And coincidentally, I look what came in the mail.
Oh my gosh. Wait, we have to tell everybody about this. I think this is a big deal.
Yes, it totally is. And I just think everything happens for a reason. It literally came yesterday and then we're connecting today. So I'm like,
Come on.
everything
Thanks,
happens,
nature.
right? Manifesting at
Yeah.
its finest.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. It's 11:07. Should we pop back in or should we just chit chat and wait till, I guess we could just wait till 11:15. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I mean, I think we can, for our folks that are here now, what can we say that's not gonna that will let people come at 11:15, but we could talk about something else. How about, can you share like an update on your life, your kids, what can you share? I've,
Well, what I can share is that summer's come to an end. And so I'm feeling like I'm getting my life back together. And let's just say that during the summer months, I mean, you're lucky because Jasper is, well, they all have their phases, but he's not in school yet. The summers get absolutely crazy with two kids running around, trying to run your business. Life just gets crazy. And that's actually what brought me to you, Emily, and what really kind of got me on this meditation journey was like, how do you juggle all of this and how do you make it all work, and still trying to keep your sanity through it all. So now that summer has come to an end, I'm feeling zen again, but I will say that meditation helped me get through those months. And that is like a game changer for me. If I can get better at life, like you say, and I love what you say about that, getting better at life, then we're winning. So to me, we're a success.
and so, because I'm going to be gearing up for these school years soon, is it summer that's more challenging because they're not in school, or it's school time that's more challenging because there's all the activities and the running around?
Summer is more challenging for me because we don't have family around. And, camps when they're young are like 2 hours, if that. So by the time you drop them off, you have to go pick them up. And so you're
Yeah.
just doing like a lot of running around. So in the middle of trying to do your emails and just live, your normal life, there's less structure. And I definitely am more productive with structure.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I get that. People are, I feel like there's two camps. There's the people who like to schedule their whole day, and then there's people who like to flow and vibe it. But once you have a kid, especially two kids and it's school time, there's no like, oh, just vibe how I'm feeling today. It's like you got to really schedule.
Exactly. So,
Hmm.
but that kind of brings me up to like where I started with you, and it was just came at such a perfect time in my life for meditation and your Ziva technique, which we'll talk all about. So I'm really excited to
Mm.
have you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Who talk to me about like who else in this tribe? Like who are your folks that are in this group, in this community? Obviously, it's people who are interested in optimizing their strength, their body, their lives, but tell me more about this tribe.
So today we're doing live on my main page. So it's all walks of life. A lot of people that have been following my career for a long time, when I was a competitor, know me from back then, and then kind of have watched the evolution, becoming a mom and whatnot. And my VIP tribe, my GFIT girls, a lot of them are moms. Some of them aren't moms. Basically, we're all just kind of on this mission to what I love about you, Emily, is that everything you said are things that I say in my fitness world. So we're all just trying to get better at being more productive. How do we fit fitness into our life? How do we simplify fitness? How do we, just find a simple approach to still reaching our goals without it taxing ourselves, without it taking away from time with family and whatnot. So it's a lot of moms. It's a lot of, the majority are women who are, just trying to figure it all out and how to fit it all into their day and maximize their
Mhm.
time.
I love that quote. Have you seen this quote going around the internet lately? It's like, you can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. I thought that was
Exactly.
so wise. It's like you're not gonna meditate and work out and home cook all three meals and run your business and go to bed early and watch the newest TV show on the same day. And it's like you can do all those things, but maybe not at the same time.
Exactly. It's just prioritizing your time and being more efficient with the time that we have.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I know that a lot of my followers are excited, and I asked them some questions that they wanted me to ask. So, a lot of those questions are things that I already had on my list because they were things that I was curious when I started the journey. So, I guess we'll just get started
Let's do
and
it.
let's do it. Okay, so first, I just wanted to say, for those of you that are just joining, this is Emily Fletcher, and I actually came across Emily. She has this fabulous book out, and no need to take notes or anything. I'll put all the links below so you guys know exactly where to find her, how to learn more about her, how to get her incredible book.
And in
But
case you
I
can't read
actually,
backwards, it's called Stress Less, Accomplish More, because the
there we
phones
go.
reverse it. So stress less, accomplish more.
Yes,
Yeah,
stress
there you
less,
go.
accomplish more. So who doesn't want to stress less and accomplish more, right?
Nobody.
So I actually, as I was saying, I felt like I had life figured out. I was like, I had this, in the back, no big deal. Got my fitness figured out. Like, I just feel like I got it figured out. Then as the layers of life start to happen, kids, businesses, another business, you're just juggling a lot, and you have a lot of layers, a lot of responsibilities, human beings that you have to care for. And then just the way of our world and the way of technology and getting dinged with personal messages and emails, and it's kind of nonsense, but it's just the way of our world. And I tend to get very overwhelmed by all of that stuff, and I was kind of struggling with like feeling just overwhelmed, pretty much is the word, just very overwhelmed with how do I deal with this. And so I always would say, how does a simple girl, I guess referring to me, deal with this like kind of complicated world? And I just kind of would ask myself that question. I'd ask random people, like, how do you kind of deal in this world? And then my husband came across you and your book, and he read it, and he's like, Gina, you've got to read this book. You've got to,
Wow.
I think you and Emily will totally resonate. I think you're just going to love what she has to say. And so I did. I read the book, and then I booked my trip to New York to come see Emily at her in-person training. And Emily, it has been the answer to that question. How does a simple girl, deal in this complex world? It's meditation. It's finding that stillness, and it's everything that you preach. So I'm just, thank you for everything you're bringing to the world.
It is my honor. It is my pleasure. And thank you for committing. Thank you for being in a state where you're feeling overwhelmed and deciding to take action about it, and now sharing this with other people so that they can have the opportunity to do the same thing. So I selfishly want to know, like, what has been the biggest transformation for you? I mean, besides feeling like, okay, now I know how to cope in the world, which is huge. Like, have you seen, like, has anything changed in your sleep or your workouts or your food or your relationships?
I think it's more of an internal shift. It's almost like I can't answer that question because I don't have the words to say, this is what's happening. I just feel this shift happening internally. Mm-hmm. And, at your teaching, you said there are certain things that can happen, and we can get into those, like what can happen when you start meditating. You can have disrupt sleep or better sleep, or like all these things are normal as you're kind of starting the journey. And so I just kind of felt good. I kind of felt like in that bliss state. Like I was walking around just like, that doesn't, like just like when I finished yoga, like that doesn't bother me. Just kind of cruising down the street. Traffic doesn't bother me. I'm just good. So that was the biggest thing that I've noticed, is just kind of just chill. And then I actually had the most intense meditation, Emily. A couple weeks ago, I was meditating, and I have no idea what happened. Just emotional, just release. And I'm like, that's what she was talking about. I hadn't experienced it until then, and I still can't. It was like something big happened. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So this is news to a lot of people because they think, well, when they start meditating, they should feel like you did, where you're just like that post yoga glow. You're like, I'm good. I'm like, nothing's bothering me. We think we should just be floating on a cloud of bliss all the time. But because Ziva is so powerful, it's actually going in and getting rid of a lifetime of accumulated stresses that we all have stored in our cells, in our muscles, in our tissues. And so that dog that barked in your face when you were 10, the divorce from when you were 20, the college you didn't get into, like all that stuff gets stored in our body. And the meditation is healing not only our stress from today, but all that stress from our past. And so you could have been like riding high. And then because you're a couple months into your meditation journey, you might have hit college, or you might have hit like that breakup or something that left a little trauma in your cells. And that could have just been a bit of a catharsis, a bit of a purging. And so, as you know, our theme song is better out than in. My nerdy
Right.
dad joke is, we want that stuff in our tissues, not in our tissues. We want to
I love
cry that
it.
stuff out instead of having to cut it out as cancer or it's showing up as some sort of a chronic injury.
I love that. Yeah, that totally made sense. I left the room like, wow, that was awesome. I felt like I just released that backpack from my back that was weighing me down.
Yes.
So, okay, so now can you talk a little bit about Ziva? What is Ziva? What is your technique, and how is it different than other meditation styles?
Yeah, so Ziva is a trifecta. We've got three M's. We've got mindfulness, which is what most people are familiar with. We've got meditation, which I'll talk about what makes it different. And then we've got manifesting, which sounds a little hippy dippy, but it's really quite simple. So mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting, these are the three M's that make up the Ziva technique. But I'd say if you throw all that away, what we're really about is meditation for better performance. Like you said, we're meditation to get good at life, not to get good at meditation. Nobody cares if you're a good meditator. Everybody cares if you're a good mom. How physically fit are you? How's your sleep? How's your fertility? How's your body age? How's your skin looking? And these are all things that meditation can directly and significantly impact. So to clarify on the technique side, what most people are calling meditation out there, like the apps, the YouTube videos, the drop-in studios, I would actually call mindfulness. And mindfulness is great. It's just different than meditation. Mindfulness is where you're focusing, you're concentrating, someone's guiding you through something, you're directing your focus. Whereas the meditation portion of Ziva feels more like a nap sitting up. It's almost like you've got a little bit of a head nod and you're giving your body this rest that's 5 times deeper than sleep. So it feels like a supercharged power nap, but without the sleep hangover. And then it's really that deep rest that you're getting in the meditation portion that's making you better at life, because that's the mechanism that can create that healing purge, that release. And ultimately, the less stress you have in your body, the more energy you have for your life, because the stress is making us stupid, sick, and slow. So we do the meditation, we get rid of that. And the cool part about that is that you find that the return on time investment is exponential. So for a 15-minute time investment, you might get back a few hours of productivity in your day. Just like with working out, you might think, oh, I don't have time to work out. But if you do it, inevitably you have more energy, you feel better, you don't get sick as often, you're stronger, you don't get injured as often. And so, yes, you have to make an initial investment, but the ROI is exponential. And then the last M of the manifesting is really getting clear about what your dreams are. It's like, how much money do you want to make this year? What's your dream relationship with your body look like? What's your dream relationship with your partner feel like? And a lot of us think we're manifesting, but we're just secretly complaining. Like, why can't I lose this weight? Why does she have a boyfriend and I don't? And if you ask terrible questions, you'll get terrible answers. So I teach people how to ask better questions so they can start to really move into their dreams.
I love it. Yes, and I love what I really resonated with was, people always think that you have to like be in this perfect place and there can't be any noise. And there's noise all the time here. Maybe not right now because kids are at school, but there's constant noise and there's all this stuff going on. And so people think, I know I did, that it has to be like this perfect environment, this perfect situation. And if it's not, then you're not going to meditate, or it's just not the right place. And similar with my training, same idea, where people think that you have to have a certain amount of time and it has to be this. And you just are like, no, just get in your chair and it doesn't matter if there's noise or whatever, you just sit there and go. So I love that. It was very realistic.
Good. It's like that's the portable meditation. It's like you don't need incense and gongs and finger symbols and fancy fingers or a perfect spine or silence. It's like this thing is actually designed for people with busy minds and busy lives. It's designed for people like us, versus a lot of the stuff that's online right now, a lot of the apps are actually things that were originally designed for monks. And it's like if someone like us, someone with a busy mind and a busy life is trying to do monk meditation, it's always going to feel hard. We're always going to feel like we're failing. Whereas this meditation is for people like us. It's designed to make us better at life.
Exactly. Yeah, I just love that. And like you said, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. And I was like,
Yeah.
heck yes. Doesn't matter. I mean, we have good workouts, we have bad workouts. All that matters is that you show up and, as you said, that you get in your chair. So I was like, yes, we're speaking the same language in a different way, in a different element. And I just knew that it resonated with me. So I love that. There's no such thing as a bad meditation. You just got to get in your chair and sit down and close your eyes and go.
Yeah. And you'll know it's working because life gets better.
Exactly. So can you talk a little bit, another thing that I loved was your I'll be happy when syndrome that I feel people have in general, even in fitness. I'll be happy when I get my dream body. I'll be happy. And so that was another little nugget that I loved. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So I think that we're so eyeball deep in this. The I'll be happy when syndrome is the mistaken belief that we can somehow consume our way to fulfillment or that we can acquire our way to happiness. And it's like, well, I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I have $1 million. I'll be happy when I hire this next employee. I'll be happy when I go on vacation. I'll be happy when I have a kid. I'll be happy when this kid graduates and gets the F out of my house. It's like we just put our happiness further and further away, and then we die. And I think that that's really sad if you've never found a way to access your own happiness in the only place that it resides, which is inside of you. And
Mm-hmm.
every spiritual text has been teaching this since the beginning of time. What you seek is in you. The kingdom of heaven is within. And that's fine to get that as an intellectual idea, but it's much, much more powerful to be able to experience that tangibly, viscerally, every day, twice a day. And that's what this practice gives you. So what's happening neurochemically is that within 30 to 45 seconds of you starting Ziva, your brain starts to flood with dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals. So it feels nice. But then the cool part is that after your meditation, that those bliss chemicals stay with you. That's why you are driving down the road and being like, I'm good. Or, your kids are freaking out. And instead of you freaking out with them, you come up with a solution, or you're able to be patient and listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your creativity goes on overdrive because you're not constantly overwhelmed. So I think that getting out of the I'll be happy when syndrome paradoxically allows you to be more present. It allows you to be happy here and now. And then you're able to more easily intuit better ideas that are going to move you towards your dream. And you're just more content with the present moment. Because what I think a lot of people don't understand is that the present moment is the future in the making. So the more present you are right now, the higher quality seeds you're planting for the future. But if what most of us are doing, because we're in that fight or flight mode, and our left brain is overdeveloped, we have a tendency to constantly review the past and rehearse the future. Review, rehearse, which is robbing us from here and now. And that's what we do in the meditation, is that we take the right brain to the gym. We flood the brain and body with dopamine and serotonin. We access our fulfillment internally. And what I've found is if you pay that price, right? If you get your buns in the chair every day, twice a day, you make that investment, then all the stuff that you want starts to show up by accident. Now, it's not an accident. It's because people want to hire happy people. People want to sleep with happy people.
Yes.
Kids actually respond better to happy people. You've probably seen your kids respond to a teacher like, oh my gosh, I just love her. And it's probably because she has that calm
Energy.
that calm energy, that assertive but relaxed energy. Kids respond very well to that. And so it's about you handling your internal landscape, and then it's like as you change the projector, the projection changes. And because we're so externally focused in our worlds, a lot of us are trying to change the projection. And meanwhile, we have this horror story of a movie playing on the inside.
Ah, I love it. You have the best analogies.
Thanks.
Now, so you talk about twice a day. So that comes another question, fits perfectly now. How does one find the time? I always love this question. How do I have time to work out? How does somebody find the time to meditate?
Great question. So when people say to me, I don't have time to meditate, I'm like, come here, show me your phone. And I go in their Moment app and I look at their screen time usage, and I look at their social media hours. Now, if you've been on social media for 4 hours a week, you have plenty of time to meditate. If you've been on social media for 3 hours a week, you have plenty of time to work out. The thing is, the reason why people think they don't have time to meditate is that what most of us are doing is not giving us a return on time investment. So if you just download a free app, right? Let's say you, I don't want to badmouth anybody, but let's just say you download a free like mindfulness app and you do 10 minutes of it. You feel okay in the now. It's almost like taking an aspirin when you have a headache. It's good for triage. It's good at dealing with your state change. But if you're not ultimately addressing the root cause, if you're not getting rid of
Yes.
the very reason that you're overwhelmed, if you're not getting rid of that stress from your past, then you're not getting the return on time invested. And then it's not that it's wasted time. It's just not, it's not like you feel you have more time. And none of us have time to waste. We're all busy. We all think that we're the busiest person in the land. And if it's just 10 minutes in, 10 minutes out, it's like, okay, I could be doing that in some other way. But if it, for a 15-minute time investment, you could potentially get 2 to 3 hours more productivity in your day, then it's like you start to think, well, I can't not meditate. Like Mark Hyman, who's the father of functional
Yes.
medicine, he's the head of the functional medicine clinic at Cleveland Clinic. He has kids. He's 11-time New York Times bestselling author. And he says, I don't have time not to meditate. If I do Ziva twice a day, I have 3 more hours productivity in my day. But the thing is, we can't conceptualize that because we can't think of a thing that gives us that much productivity. But that's the whole point of this, is that it's designed to make you better at life.
I love it. And that was actually one of the things is, we have this mindset that busy is productive. And I was there, I've got to be busy. If I'm not doing something, that I'm not, closing, helping somebody, or I'm not, doing whatever. So you feel like you have to constantly be busy and doing all these things. But truly, if we give ourselves permission to have that us time, just like with a workout, and give ourselves that non-negotiable time, we're able to be that much more productive, to help that many more people, to show up that much better. And I truly believe that in all that I do. And then there was this element it was missing, because I was just working, grinding, busy equals productive. And no, the answer is actually to become more productive. You need to stress less and give yourself that much more time that you deserve and that we all need.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of us have been under that paradigm of like do more, but that's why stress is becoming an epidemic. According to
Yes.
Harvard Medical School, stress is responsible for 90% of all doctors' visits. Scientists are calling it the black plague of our century, and it's ultimately making us stupid, sick, and slow. It's just like, if there's a tool, and it's not an incurable illness. We have a cure. It's called meditation. It's just we've all convinced ourselves that we're too busy to do it. Now, the other thing that a lot of people that keeps them from starting a meditation practice is that they think that they can't clear their mind, and so that there's no point. They're like, well, I can't meditate because I can't clear my mind. I was on the subway 2 days ago, and I struck up a conversation with this guy who was training to be a nurse, and he seemed like he was like from Brooklyn, and he was talking to me, and he said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a meditation teacher. And I saw his whole face just cringe, and he was like, ugh, and he said, oh, I can't do that. And I was like, why not? And he said, I can't clear my mind. And I said, well, have you ever had any meditation training? And he said, no. And I find this fascinating. The people who have never had any meditation training are hell bent on the idea that they have to clear their mind. I'm like, who is
Yes.
saying this? Who is telling everybody this? Because then if you try to clear your mind in the meditation, if you're like, okay, brain, shut up. Well, turns out the brain thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. And so then people feel like they're failing, and then they quit, because none of us will do anything for very long that we feel like we're failing at. So the really good news here for any of you ex-meditators out there, for anyone who has tried meditation and quit because you couldn't clear your mind, the good news is that no one can clear their mind. No one can give their brain a command to shut up. Okay. It is possible to access different states of consciousness, but it's not about going in and being like, shut it down, brain. It's about giving your body tools so they can access this rest, so that you're more awake on the other side, so that you're clearer on the other side.
That is exactly going to be the next topic, was about the thought train that you talk so much about. And exactly that. People think that they have to clear their mind. I was that person. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't get rid of all these thoughts. And, I got to pick up my kid. And then you're thinking about all these different things. And so when you said that, I was like, I could totally do this. And what's funny now, Emily, is all those thoughts, you can talk just a little bit more about what those thoughts are, but you say stress leaving the body. Now I like invite the thoughts. I'm like, keep them coming, because I know that it's like you're popping balloons. I just envision like every thought is just like, stress, boop, boop. So
Ooh,
I
that's a
think
good analogy. I like that.
when people can see that, I think that's just like, wow. And now meditation, that's what changed it for me. So can you talk a little bit about the thought train?
Yeah. So because people think they should be clearing their mind, they think that thoughts are the enemy, but actually thoughts are not the enemy of meditation, effort is. And if you start to understand that if you have a technique that's designed for you, if you use a tool that's designed to give the body this deep rest, when you give your body rest that it needs, it knows how to heal itself. And one of the things that it heals itself from is stress. And so the stress is going to start leaving in the form of thoughts. So I love your balloon idea where it's like these little bubbles, bubbles or balloons are bubbling up, and then it's just like goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And so rather than judging those as bad, it's like, oh, thank you and goodbye, thank you and goodbye. And the analogy I think is really helpful that I teach in the book and in Ziva Online is that of a party. So instead of thinking that meditation is a destination, that you need to get deep, that you need to clear your mind and access some altered state, instead if you think about it like a party in your brain and all your thoughts are your guests.
Yes.
And then whatever tool you're using, like if you're using your breath or if you decide to take Ziva and you get a mantra, then that becomes your guest of honor. But all the other thoughts are allowed to be there. They're allowed to be other guests, and you're the host. You're not the bouncer. Right? And if you start to host your meditation party, let everyone be there, but innocently favor the guest of honor, then it all works out just beautifully. But if you start punching people in the face and trying to kick them out, they start punching back, and then they're going to win because the mind thinks involuntarily.
That's beautifully put. I love that. Really like that a lot. All right. So I have one last question, and then people are probably like, well, how do I even get started in meditation? So maybe you could lead us in a little mindful meditation, which would be fabulous.
Yes, it would be my pleasure.
Yay. Okay, so the last question, somebody had asked, what is the difference between Ziva and Maharishi's transcendental meditation?
Oh, good question. So TM or Transcendental Meditation is the name of a company. A lot of people think that it's the name of a style, but it's actually the name of a brand or a company. And they've taught millions of people to meditate, which is awesome. And what they're teaching is just meditation, okay? Whereas Ziva is teaching mindfulness and meditation and manifesting. And now I just taught meditation for the first 6 years of my career, and it was awesome. I loved it. I feel like it really helped people, but I started noticing that the world is filled with ex-meditators and that people were having some resistance. And so I started doing a deep dive. I started asking people like, hey, what is it that's keeping you from starting? Or what is it that's keeping you from sticking with the practice? And I started getting two responses. One was the time piece, right? Because I tend to work with high performers and they're like, just the time. And then the other one was when I started, there can be a bit of a detox. There can be like a bit of an emotional, like we talked about, like a purging. And because a lot of people are not talking about that purge or equipping people to handle that when they go through it, it can be overwhelming and then people quit. And they think, oh, well, I just don't have time to meditate, but actually they're avoiding the feelings. They would rather go around than through. They're like, well, I'll just stop meditating because I don't want to handle my parents' divorce or I don't want to deal with the trauma from my teens. And so that is where we use the mindfulness element. So we do use mindfulness and we use it, one, as a runway into the meditation to give you to go from the 90 miles an hour of your day into that deep healing rest of meditation. We use meditation almost as we use mindfulness as a runway into that meditation. And then we also use it in that detox. So let's say you're a couple weeks in and you start to have some healing releases. That's a really great time. Like you said the other day, you had those tears. That's what would be a great time for you to use that mindfulness. What am I hearing? What am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I tasting? What am I smelling? And that's equipping you to be in the now, to feel it without being overwhelmed by it. And actually, it's like we have to look at the darkness. Marianne Williamson is saying right now, if you want the future, if you want to move towards the future, you have to heal the past.
Right.
It's like you want to move towards the light, you have to address the darkness. One does not come without the other. And I think that is a bit of a more feminine way of looking at spirituality. Many of these spiritual practices have been male dominated historically. And so it's like eye on the prize. Let's just move towards enlightenment. We won't look at our issues. We won't look at our shadow. We'll just move up. And it's like, well, and I think and this is a little gender stereotyping, but I think that historically and traditionally, women are more interested in diving in and feeling our feelings, processing our feelings, and integrating and incorporating our whole selves versus like a compartmentalization. And so that felt like a decidedly feminine thing that I could bring to these lineages and to these traditions. And that's part of why the Ziva technique was born. Also, we really specialize in high performance. So I've taught Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy Award winners, Navy SEALs, the Army. So we like to really, it's like, yes, we meditate, but it's like, how are you bringing that to the world? How are you making the world better with these tools?
I love that, Emily. Wow, that was good. One last thing is the third part of the meditation, the manifestation. One question that I had was, well, you know, what if you don't know what you want? What if you don't know what you want to manifest? And when you had told me just to focus on gratitude, and that's really worked for me. I really like that. So is that something that you talk about that? If somebody doesn't know what they want, so what do they do in that third element?
Yeah, so this is, to be honest, I was a little surprised at how much of that feedback I got. Of so many people were like, well, what if I don't know what my dream is? What if my dream scares me? What if I don't believe that it's possible? And so I think that two things to know. One, manifesting is decidedly advanced. I don't think you're going to be 5 days into your meditation career and suddenly be like, oh, I'm crystal clear on my dreams, and manifesting is super easy. It would be like going into a gym and trying to lift 200 pounds if you've never even lifted a dumbbell. It's like you gotta lift the 10 pounds and then the 15 pounds. You have to build our way up. So for a lot of us, we have to start the meditation and do it consistently for a few months before we can really, before the volume on our intuition is loud enough to be able to accurately detect what our dreams are. And because so many of us have been in this chronic fight or flight for so many decades, it's like we haven't had the space or the time or the energy to even ask the question, what do I want? Because we've been surviving. And so if you don't know what you want, I think that's okay. Don't pressure it. Don't allow it to stress you out, but just keep asking the question, you know, and eventually you're going to hear an answer. And so what I recommend, and we can even do some of this today when we start the practice, is after the meditation, once you're in this de-excited place, once you've accessed source energy and the right and left hemispheres of the brain are functioning in unison, this is a very sacred time to manifest, because it's easier for you to hear your intuition. It's easier for nature to give you those directives. And it's easier for you to communicate your desires to nature. Because I think manifesting is a two-way conversation. You know, we have to be able to hear how nature's trying to use us, and we want to be able to communicate to nature. I think that's why we have 50-50, 50% left brain individuality, 50% right brain, you know, totality. So anyway, long story short, if you don't know what you want, then you could manifest clarity about your dreams. So you could envision, what would it look like? What would it feel like to know exactly what I wanted? What would it look like if I was crystal clear about my mission? And then just noticing how that feels in your body. And then sometimes that will help to move towards. The other thing you could do is you could manifest for someone else. So someone in your life who might be dealing with a health issue, you could envision them in perfect health. You could envision someone who's dealing with money things. You could vision them in abundance. And oftentimes it's easier for us to manifest for others than it is for ourselves, but we're still strengthening that muscle. And always the prequel is gratitude. We always want to give thanks for what we have before we start to ask for more things.
I love that. And that makes sense why I was having an issue with the manifestation, because I feel like when you're so clouded by all life and all these things that you don't even have time to think about really what you want, because you're just trying to survive. So if you just start with A and B, and then eventually you advance to really truly knowing. So that's beautiful. I love that. Thank you.
Great. My pleasure.
All right. Shall we?
Yes, I would love to. So about how long do we have? How long should we dive in? Because I can fill any amount of time. Should we take a survey? Should we ask people? 10 minutes? Okay,
let's do 10
perfect.
minutes. We'll meet in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, 10 minutes. Sounds good. So just so everyone's aware, like the Ziva technique, when you do it in its entirety, it's mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. It takes about 17 minutes. But what I'm going to do today is give you like a delicious glass of water. We're going to quench the thirst. I'm going to give you a taster. And then if you want to dive in, if you want to become self-sufficient, you could always read the book. You could check out Ziva online, and it'll give you your own practice. But we're going to just dive in and see what happens. And the cool thing is have a global group meditation. There's, you know, people watching from all over the world. And I like the idea of us all connecting energetically right now. So before we close our eyes, I actually want to start with something called the balancing breath. And this is fun because we're in private and you can see. So this is a great way to help to balance the right and left hemispheres of the brain. And we're going to be closing the right and left nostrils. It looks a little silly, but it's very good at creating a state change, de-exciting the metabolic rate, and starting to fire all parts of the brain. So take your right hand, take your thumb, and close your right nostril. And then exhale through your left nostril. Really good. Inhale through the left. And then closing your left nostril with your ring finger and exhaling through the right. Really good. Inhaling through the right. And then closing your right nostril with your thumb and exhaling through the left. So good. Inhale through the left. Biggest inhale you've taken all day. When you get to the top of the inhale, I invite you to take one more sip of air, floating there for just a moment, and then switching sides, closing your left nostril with your ring finger and exhaling through the right all the way to empty. Really good. Inhale through the right. Biggest inhale you've taken all year. When you get to the top of the inhale, one more sip of air, floating at the top, bravely noticing that space between. And then switching sides, closing the right nostril and exhaling all the way to empty on the left. You can close the eyes if you haven't already, and you can start to do this in your own time. The pattern is simply out through the left, in through the left, and then we switch sides, out through the right, in through the right. So on this next inhale, I invite you to imagine your belly filling with air. And when you switch sides, I invite you to imagine sending that breath and energy right out through the middle of your forehead, out into your day, into everything you want to create. Really good. And on the next inhale, imagining this breath and energy coming into the base of the spine. And as you fill your lungs, imagining that breath and energy traveling all the way up through the spine. And switching sides and exhaling, sending that breath and energy right out through the middle of the forehead. So good. And we'll do one final cycle, letting this be your most delicious yet. So inhaling all the way through the base of the spine. As you fill the lungs, imagining the energy traveling up the spine. And then switching sides, sending that breath and energy right out through the middle of the forehead. Good. And the next time you come to an exhale, you can keep your eyes closed, but drop your hands into the lap. And we'll move through a really simple but powerful mindfulness exercise called Come to Your Senses. And this is great because it's an opportunity to include everything that's happening around you inside of this experience. So keeping the eyes closed, we're starting to listen for what's the most prevalent sound you can detect. The sound of my voice. Perhaps the air conditioning is on, or there's traffic or kids in the background. And instead of judging these as good sounds or bad sounds, instead of judging them as distractions or enhancements, instead, I invite you to simply notice what's the most prevalent and what's the most subtle sound. Pulling the lens of your awareness out and including everything inside of this experience. Really good. And now ever so gently bringing your awareness to your sense of touch. So feeling the weight of your body in the chair. If there's any pain in your body, you could even notice that as a prevalent sensation. And this is an opportunity to not judge it as good or bad, just noticing what's the most prevalent. And now, scanning the body to notice the most subtle. Can you feel the air moving against your skin? Or the clothes against your skin? Or perhaps even the feeling of the breath as it enters and exits the nostrils? Beautiful. And now, bringing your awareness to your sense of taste. Even though you're not eating anything, just noticing, is there any taste sensation happening for you right now? Is your mouth acidic or dry? And what we're doing is that we're starting to use our five senses as a tool to bring our awareness into the body and into the right now, because the present moment is the future in the making. And finally, smell what you're smelling. What's the most prevalent smell happening for you right now? And then just cycling through hearing, feeling, seeing, tasting, and smelling. Giving yourself permission to be so present, so human, so in your body. Knowing that there's nowhere you have to be, you've already arrived. Now we'll take a few moments with the eyes closed of a silent practice, and I invite you to, ever so gently in the background of your mind, just hear the words, let go, let go. And every time you hear these words in the background of your mind, you can feel your muscles softening, your shoulders dropping, your jaw becoming slack, your belly expanding, your hips opening, your legs melting into the floor. And just like a whisper of an echo in the background of the mind, let go, let go. And you may start to feel like you're falling into a sleepy feeling, or your brain may feel like it's racing. Either one is totally fine. I invite you to be the passenger in this meditation vehicle. You're not the driver. Whatever happens, happens. We'll be here for just a moment, just ever so gently hearing the words, let go. You don't have to control the tempo. It might be fast or slow or loud or soft. Just letting it be innocent and gentle in the background of the mind, letting it get fainter and finer. And from this space of groundedness and connectedness, we can keep the eyes closed, but let go of the words inside, like we're cutting the cord to an anchor. We'll take a moment of gratitude, just thinking of one thing that you're most grateful for in this moment in time. For Gina, for technology, for your family, for air, for sunshine, for food. And now from this space of groundedness and gratitude, I invite you to ask the question, what's one thing that I would love right now? Just one thing that I would love. It could be as small as a cup of coffee or as big as an Oscar award. And it doesn't matter how big or small, how near or far the dream feels. It only matters that it feels possible to you and that it brings you some joy when you think about it happening right now. And like you're a little kid playing pretend, I invite you to submerge yourself in the reality of this dream. So where are you at the moment that this thing that you would love shows up? Noticing who's with you, what it looks like, what it sounds like, and most importantly, what it feels like. If you were to manifest some Nutella pancakes, and then all of a sudden, in 20 minutes, some Nutella pancakes show up in your world, what is that going to feel like? Are you going to feel like a wizard? Are you going to feel powerful? Are you going to feel enthusiastic, grateful, like you're living in potential? And just give yourself the gift of those feelings right now. Breathing in that joy, that excitement, that enthusiasm into every single cell in your body. And know that we're never chasing the thing. We're always chasing the feeling we assume the thing will bring. So I invite you to right now give yourself the gift of that feeling, that possibility, that excitement, that enthusiasm, as if the thing is happening right now. And nature is fast, your mind is fast, so you don't have to draw a perfect picture. It's more about a snapshot, a feeling. You're just planting a seed and then you let it do its thing. So imagine that dream as if it's happening right now. And what if you let that bring a little smile to your face, even if you have to fake it till you make it? And then we'll inhale that smile into every single cell in our body, charging up our bodies with the frequency and the currency of this dream. And as you exhale, I invite you to let go of anything that is not serving you. Really good. And one final time, a big energizing breath, starting to move your hands, starting to move your feet, bringing your awareness into the body, into the room. And in your own time, whenever you're ready, we can start to gently, slowly open the eyes. And giving yourself a big high five for bravely sticking that out. I think we went more than 10 minutes, but I felt like you guys were with me. And so we just moved through a little appetizer of the mindfulness, a tiny meditation, and then a manifesting exercise. So there we go. Thanks for doing that with me.
Thank you. Wonderful. Calm, and now I feel like I can tackle the world.
Yeah, it's like we just dive in, give ourselves a little rest, and then we're more energized on the other side, and we start to believe that our dreams are possible.
Absolutely. Wow, that was fabulous. Thank you so much, Emily. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you came on and shared your energy and vibes and just all your goodness with everyone. So thank you, thank you. And I'm going to put all of your information, because Emily has a really cool story too, leaving Broadway and doing this, her dream job. Is wow. So she's got such a cool story. I'll post where you can find her, Ziva, and of course this is a great place to start. Stress less, accomplish more. This is where it all started for me. And then I ended up in New York solo, by the way, Emily. I went out there by myself.
Oh my gosh. Was that your first trip by yourself without your kids?
By myself, first time. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh, you're a star. I'm taking my first trip without my son in 2 weeks, and I'm a little scared, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's a little scary. It was very different. It was the perfect opportunity though to be able to just focus on what I went for, without the distraction. And I feel like I got a lot more out of it just because I didn't even have anyone there to, distract me in any way. So it was such a game changer. So thank you
Yeah,
so.
and then you come back and you have more to give to your family. So bravo to you for making that investment in yourself. It's really inspiring.
Once a year, non-negotiable.
Yeah, girl. You're the best.
All right. Thank you so much,
Oh my gosh.
everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Mwah, mwah. See you soon, Emily. Thank
See
you
you
so
soon. All
much.
right.
All
Bye, you
right.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.